Share screen now, and I hope you're all keeping safe and well, and thank you so much for joining us today. The Fulbright Commission, the Fulbright program, sorry, I think my slides are a bit slow. The Fulbright, Senator J. William Fulbright established the commission, established the Fulbright program with funds that were left over after World War II to promote international exchange between the people in the United States and people all around the world. So the Fulbright Commission in Ireland was set up in 1991 after Fulbright was initially brought to Ireland in 1957, and it is now run in 180 countries around the world. So there's fantastic opportunities if you're awarded a Fulbright. So Fulbright is basically for everyone, as in it is for students, scholars, artists, teachers, professionals from all disciplines to research, study, teach, and lecture in the United States, and for Americans to do the same in Ireland. So what exactly does a Fulbright entail? So a monetary grant, visa administration. So myself and my colleague Sonia, I'm the program manager for the students. My colleague Sonia manages the Scholar Awards. So we help you with your visa. You get a special Fulbright J1 visa, your accident and emergency insurance, cultural and professional programming. So there's orientations and fabulous events in Dublin Castle before you commence your award. And then there's ongoing support from our office and links to a global network of Fulbright alum. And Rowan, who's on the call, who actually organises, so thank you, Rowan, will also be pushing out all your achievements on social media and to a greater platform. Fulbright really is a family. So when we say you're involved in a greater network globally, you really and truly are. Sorry, my slides seem very slow. Sorry, apologies, my internet's quite slow. But yes, the Fulbright family is definitely a fantastic resource for all of you. Your Fulbright doesn't have to end when you come home from the United States, as in there is the Irish Fulbright Alumni Association, and there is additionally the FLTA and the Irish United States Alumni Association. And you can be a reviewer and an interviewer and a Fulbright ambassador like Catherine West. So it really is the experience of a lifetime, and there is that lifelong engagement and recognition and join global peers. You'll be able to meet up with, there are enrichment seminars in the United States where you'll get to meet Fulbrighters from all around the world, Fulbrighters from Germany, Tanzania, you name it. So it really is a fantastic experience. And one of my favorite things about a Fulbright is when people meet each other at the orientations. Like on paper, I think, oh, those people don't have any connections. There won't be any cultural crossover or anything between their different topics, and then they end up collaborating and finding links. And so we have awardees from all institutions, including GMIT. So two examples are Dr. Patrick Mannion and Dr. Ian McLaughlin, who are both GMIT awardees. And we also have ambassadors on every campus, or we try to have an ambassador, a Fulbright alum who's an ambassador on every campus. So I'm delighted that Catherine West is able to join us today. Catherine's going to say a few words about her Fulbright in GMIT now.
Hello, everyone. You're very welcome. So my name is Catherine West, and I actually started my Fulbright journey a long time ago in 1988, and it was a very exciting time. At that point, you could not engage with the practice-based masters in visual art in Ireland. There simply were no programs. So it was very exciting for me to be able to travel to the United States. There were two MA programs that I could have entered into in the UK, but none in Ireland. So the other thing that was very exciting, my specialism is visual art, but my medium is ceramics. So at the time in the 80s and towards the late 80s, some of the most exciting work in the world was being made in the United States. So I was very lucky. We didn't have the internet then either, but luckily there were some very good periodicals that I could view over the years at the library where I studied at NCAD. And then in order to find out about MFA programs, Master of Fine Arts programs, which is what I engaged in America, I had to go to the American Embassy in Dublin and meet a cultural advisor who was able to give me a computer printout of possible programs that I could engage with. Now, I actually had heard of the program that I entered, and it was at the New York State College of Ceramics, and it was a very famous place, Alfred University, and it was kind of on a scale that nobody had envisaged ceramic education. So that was the other thing that was so exciting. So for my Fulbright, I had a certain amount of financial help from Alfred University because I was what's called a teaching assistant. So I would have had a tuition waiver and a small stipend. But when you go to the United States as a student, you're required to have a particular amount of income per academic year. And so for my Fulbright, what happened was the Fulbright Commission were able to top that up to the required amount. So it meant that I was financially independent for the 2 years of study that I engaged with in the United States. And so very, very exciting experience. And while I was there, there was also another Fulbrighter from Peru. And so that was lovely as well. And as Paula was saying, once you become part of, you know, the Fulbright experience, you also become part of a Fulbright community. And that's what's very exciting. So over the years, you know, I would have met, I used to be Dublin based, so I'd have met a lot of colleagues through Fulbright. Sometimes they were just at visual arts events, but sometimes then there's some lovely evenings that are organised by the Fulbright Commission in Ireland. So sometimes it's to meet the new scholars, or sometimes there are lovely Fulbright dinners in times when we're not plagued by COVID. And what's lovely about that is that there's also this very rich interdisciplinary experience. You know, research becomes very exciting once it becomes interdisciplinary. And so those kinds of opportunities to meet colleagues working in other fields, you know, whether it be literature or engineering or science, you know, it becomes very interesting when you have those interdisciplinary exchanges. And yeah, all I can do now is just encourage anybody who's at all interested in studying in the United States or engaging in research. I mean, remember that Fulbright doesn't end just when you've completed your studies. You know, there's also a huge research and postgraduate element. And so one of the last kind of get-togethers that I was at for Fulbright was in Dublin, and, you know, I met somebody who'd had Fulbright the same year as me and then was returning to the United States for to carry out some research, you know, in a very specific archive in the States. And, you know, those kinds of opportunities are wonderful. And, you know, so it's an ongoing possibility. And to those of you who are, maybe there might be some colleagues of mine online at the moment, you know, remember as well, Fulbright, you know, you can go and there's some lecturing opportunities if there's a particular place that you want to you know, carry out that kind of activity, teaching and learning activity, but also, you know, research projects. There might be a very specific kind of research happening in a particular institution in America. And, you know, if you make contact and say that you want to do this through the Fulbright Commission, you know, it's very easy to, for that institution then to engage with you, you know. So I think probably I've said enough now, and I'll hand you back to Paula, but please feel free to ask questions, and also obviously you can email me anytime in relation to Fulbright queries. Thank you very much, and good luck everyone.
Thank you so much, Catherine, for sharing your wonderful experience with us. And I apologize to everyone for my internet. So Rowan has kindly suggested he'll flick through my slides. Thank you, Rowan. So regarding eligibility, I imagine there'll be a lot of questions regarding eligibility. So it is open to all Irish awards are open to all Irish citizens. So Irish citizens in the 6 counties are also eligible to apply, and European EU citizens who've been resident in Ireland for at least 3 years are also eligible to apply. You must demonstrate you have a strong rationale for where you want to go in the US. So it's not just you want to go to Hawaii or Las Vegas for a year for the fun. There has to be a strong connection, as in this part of North Dakota, they've very strong engineering department, or in this part of Kansas, they are known for X, Y, or Z. So you have that strong rationale for where you're going in the United States. And it's not supposed to be just kind of an exchange between, say, Dublin and Harvard or MIT. It is supposed to be an exchange between all of the United States and all of Ireland. So we want to see that diversity from institutes in Ireland and a diversity in institutes in the United States as well. There was a question there in the chat about, is it done by universities or everyone in Ireland? It is done by everywhere in Ireland. Just there's X amount of awardees from Ireland each year. We like to see a big diversity of people. You also must comply with the 2-year home rule visa requirement. So if you're an Irish Fulbrighter and you go to the United States, you must come home to Ireland for 2 years after you complete your Fulbright award before you're eligible to get a visa to work and live in the United States. So it doesn't matter if you go to America and you fall in love with an American and you have American children during your Fulbright, you still must come home for 2 years. And it'll be written in the visa in your passport. And traditionally, it has been accepted that people from Ireland can go to the United States on their Fulbright and complete their 2-year home rule elsewhere in the EU, but we cannot advise that will definitely be accepted in the future. You cannot be an US Irish dual citizen. So if you have a US citizenship, you cannot apply to undertake a Fulbright award in the United States. You cannot be living in the United States at the time of application. And you cannot have recent extensive experience of studying or living in the United States. So that means you cannot have had, say, spent the past 4 out of the last 5 years living in the United States. And where 2 candidates have scored very, very closely for an award, preference will be given to the candidate who has less extensive experience of the United States. Next slide, please, Rowan. So the application process. So the application process is kind of the same every year, as in it opens at the end of August and it closes around Halloween time. It's fantastic, those of you that are on this call, because now is the time to be doing the research about where in the United States you want to go. Perhaps you'll talk to colleagues who have experience in the field of the United States. Next slide, please, Ron, if possible. But now is definitely the time to be planning the first stages of the application process before it opens. So like I said, it opens every year in August, then it closes around Halloween time. And between November and December, my colleague Sonia and I are focusing on finding expert reviewers in your field who do not know you, and mix of Irish and international reviewers to review your application. Then in January or February, you'll be invited to interview, normally in our office in Dublin. However, this year with COVID, the interviews did take place online. And in March, it's kind of bittersweet month, because we have the pleasure of informing people like Catherine who were successful, but we also have to inform the unsuccessful people. But I have to say, it is quite common for people to apply 2 or 3 times or even more for a Fulbright award and to get it on subsequent years, because it is such a competitive process. So definitely get planning now. Review the information on our website, fulbright.ie. Choose your award category, which I'll be talking about more in the next few slides. Find your course or plan your research proposal. Definitely need to research what it means to be a Fulbrighter. So Fulbright is not just about you and your CV and your future. It is about the greater good. What are you going to take with you from Galway or Mayo and bring to the United States? And what are you actually going to take from the United States and bring back to your institution and to your country? So it isn't just about, oh, I want to go and do X, Y, and Z in the classroom or in the lab. It is about, oh, I want to do this in this lab because I want to bring this information to Ireland, to the United States, and whatever else. But it's also like, I play the fiddle, I speak Irish, I want to send out a branch of Conor na Gaeilge, I want to set up a GAA club, or I want to learn more about the Black Lives Matter movement, or whatever it is about the greater good, and to really it's not just an academic exchange program, it is a cultural exchange program as well. So definitely research what it means to be a Fulbrighter. And then just before the awards open up, in the weeks before the awards open up, you can register your interest in applying for an award on our website. Next slide, please, Rowan. And so those Irish award categories that I mentioned. So firstly, the Irish Student Awards. Basically, these are for people who are doing either a master's or a PhD, or part of a PhD goes Irish Student Awardees. Fulbright is postgraduate. And then the Scholar Awards are for people who generally have 5 years professional experience or who have a PhD. So they're academic or professional, research or to lecture. Then the Tech Impact Awards are also academic research. They're very short awards, between 2 and 6 weeks. So professional research with with ICT focus. Then the FLTA Awards, chun gaeilge bhunas na stát aontaithe. So for anyone who speaks Irish, to go and teach Irish in the United States for 10 months. And then there's also the Schumann Awards, which is to study, research or lecture in the United States. And they're actually managed by our colleagues in the Belgium Commission. Next slide, please, Ron. So the Irish Student Awards, I manage these awards. Like I said, they're for postgraduate students in all disciplines. So we've had volcanologists, physicists, you name it, we've had it. So for visiting researchers or degree-seeking students, you must establish your affiliation or apply for a degree course within the US. So say, for example, if you're applying to undertake an LLM in University of Montana, you must apply for that LLM with the university directly and apply to the Fulbright Commission. So the minimum amount of time you can go for a Fulbright award to the States is 4 months, and the maximum duration of one of these awards is 10 months. And the maximum amount is €30,000 that you can receive. Some institutions give fee waivers as well, but that's the maximum amount of a stipend, and you don't have to pay tax on that stipend. It's also obviously done, it varies the amount. If you're going for 4 months, you're not going to get 30,000. That's more so for someone who's going for the full academic year. And also it goes by the maintenance rates, the cost of living in the place you're going. If you're going somewhere in Idaho, say, for example, you'll get less than someone who's going to DC because the cost of living is less in Idaho. Next slide, please, Ryan. And now the Irish Scholar Awards, they're postdoc or professionals in all disciplines who generally have 5 years relevant professional experience or a PhD. They're to research or lecture in the United States. Again, you must establish your own affiliation within the United States. So research where in the United States you want to go, where is best for you, where is best that they don't have knowledge about your subject matter, that you want to kind of educate them, or vice versa, that you want to learn from them and bring it back home. Now, the duration is slightly different. The minimum duration for a Fulbright Scholar Award is 3 months, and the max is 12 months. And the maximum award you can get is 35,000. Again, it is also based on where in the United States you want to go. Cost of living in New York City is a lot higher than the cost of living somewhere in New Mexico. So it will vary. Next slide, please. And then, yes, the Tech Impact Awards. Now, these are different because they're between 2 weeks or 3 months duration. So they're a lot shorter than your stereotypical Fulbright award. You must possess a PhD or 3 to 5 relevant professional experience in whatever research you want to conduct in the United States. Preference is given to early career researchers. So PhDs conferred since 2019. For non-commercial research exploring transformative power of ICT, and the maximum award stipend is €11,000. Next slide, please. So then the FLTA Awards for people who speak Irish, chun gaeilge bhuana agus ragna holgas na stát aontaithe. And this award actually includes room, board, tuition fees, stipend, travel and programming in the United States. It's got them up one céim agat, taithí múntóireachta agus gaeilge líofa. And it's different in the sense that you do not find somewhere you do not have to seek your own letter of affiliation. We match you to the most appropriate US institution for yourself. Say, for example, we'll take into consideration where in the United States the FLTA wants to go. And we'll also take into consideration the needs of the institutions that are applying to host an FLTA. Do they want someone Munster Irish? Do they want someone with a PhD? So we take all those, and they're max 10 months duration. Next slide, please. Definitely, if you are considering applying to, say, a Fulbright student or Fulbright Scholar Award, please consider the sponsored award in targeted areas. So be it in creativity, environment, cybersecurity. A lot of people apply for a Fulbright, all disciplines, general student or general scholar. You're kind of increasing your odds if you apply for one of these sponsored awards. And say if you apply for an award for Enterprise Ireland or Teagasc and you're not deemed to be a good fit for the sponsor, you will be then considered for the all disciplines. So you are slightly increasing your chances of being awarded Fulbright. The sponsor awards may have more specific criteria, so please check the relevant flyers, and you must fill out a sponsored award form in the Fulbright application. So definitely it's well worth considering have a look at any of the sponsored awards. Next slide, please. And I should say that you are the best judge as to what award you should apply for, as in, you know your research better, would be a good fit for the EPA or Enterprise Ireland. So the Fulbright Enterprise Ireland Award for both students and scholars is in innovation and business. The EPA Award for both students and scholars in water, climate change, and sustainable environment. And then the GSI Award is in geoscience. The student-only awards are the Creative Ireland Museum Fellowships. These are very exciting awards in Washington, D.C., in Texas, and in California. So definitely check those out. I'd be very keen to apply for those myself if I was eligible. Then the Fulbright LLMs naturally in the United States, you may be aware, can be quite expensive. So there's 3 fee waivers options available. So definitely have a look at them if you're a law student. Then the Teagasc is in agriculture, forestry, or food. The scholar-only awards include the HRB Health Impact Award for health professionals. Then there's the NUI Scholar for early career postdoc. That applies to NUI graduates. There's Creative Ireland Scholar Fellowship also for professionals, and the Tech Impact Award for short-term research, and the Tech Impact Cybersecurity Award at Boston College. So definitely worth considering any of those sponsored awards. Next slide, please. So the application requirements. So you will have to complete your personal information and an up-to-date relevant CV, and a personal statement or a Fulbright statement, a project statement, 3 recommenders. Now the recommenders will have the same deadline as yourself. So your 3 recommenders must submit, they'll be sent a link and they must submit a reference for you by the same deadline that you'll have. Students must submit transcripts. You must have obtained a 2:1 degree in your undergraduate degree to be eligible to apply for a Fulbright or in subsequent postgraduate degrees. A copy of your passport. Samples of work for artists, so 4 copies. This can just be on a USB key. And letter of affiliation for researchers or scholars. So any student or scholar basically needs a letter of affiliation. Now, say if the master's you're applying for doesn't accept people by the time of our application deadline, because obviously all the dates don't line up for all the thousands of institutes in the States, but you should have to do that by the time you are called to interviews. Yes, and I just see a question in the chat. Yes, recommenders are referees. Yes, people to write a character reference for you. Next slide, Ron. Thank you. So preparing your application. Why is your research groundbreaking? Have a think about that. What makes your research unique? What's the rationale for going to the US? Say, is it that the master's you want to undertake in fashion or ceramics or whatever it is? If that isn't provided in Ireland and it is in the United States, that's a fantastic rationale. Identify the specific areas you want to concentrate on, be detailed. Explain the research question with objectives, methodology, and expected results. And what impact will this have on your discipline, research, and career? And it would also be fantastic if you could grow links between, say, GMIT and whatever institute in the United States you want to go to. Next slide, please. So then the personal statement. So it's about you personally. So this is where Fulbright may differ from a lot of other grants. So tell us about you. Your personal and professional ambitions, motivations, interests. Do you play the Baron? Do you want to pick up American football in the United States? What do you hope to achieve in the United States and on your return? And the role and benefit of being a Fulbrighter. So you're not supposed to rehash your study objective, essay, or CV here. And please remember, this is an indication of your written communication skills. And we in the Fulbright Commission invest in people. It is more so about you than your research. And we kind of understand that if you go to the States with the intention of doing X, Y, and Z, your research may actually evolve. Next slide, please, Rowan. Because Fulbright really is about people. So in terms of diversity and inclusion, we welcome candidates from underrepresented communities, areas of research, home organizations and higher institutes of education, geographical areas, ethnicities, and ability. So Fulbright is about people, so please share who you are. Next slide, please. And you can read more about this on our website. So finding a host institute. Who do you want to work with? Research experts in your field. So say if your field is music, find out where the best places to go in the United States, talk to your peers. And it's actually in the institute in the United States' best interest in accepting you, because Fulbright universities and states, when they're ranking universities, they take into consideration how many Fulbrighters an institute has received from other countries and how many Fulbrighters are awarded Fulbrights to go to other countries. So we welcome diversity wherever you go. In my 5 years in the commission, there's still a few states that I have not seen any Irish Fulbrighters undertake Fulbright awards in. So please think outside the box. I'd love to see people going to North and South Dakota personally. So definitely diversity means a lot of things, including where geographically you go in the United States. It also means consider community colleges. So reach out to Fulbright alum, Irish and US. So there's wonderful people like Catherine and Ian McLaughlin on every campus that you should definitely reach out to and pick their brains, because they've actually been through this process successfully. Use existing Fulbright links and sponsors. Ask your mentors. Select a degree or choose a host institution. And it should really make sense where you want to go. And it should really be, I need to go to Maine because there's this fantastic mathematician who I want to work with. It really has to make sense. Next slide, please, Rowan. So then the Creative Ireland fellowships. So research opportunities that are open to the student category only, so you cannot have a PhD. Apply to the Harry Ransom Centre or the Exploratorium or the Smithsonian. So I visited the Exploratorium and the Smithsonian, and they're incredible, incredible places. I'd be very jealous of anyone who's undertaking research there. And they have very wide categories to choose from to do research in. So each award has specific eligibility criteria. So again, please see the flyers. And you must seek a letter of support from the host and include it in your Fulbright application for these free Creative Ireland Museum fellowships for students. Next slide, please, Rod. So then the LLM Associate Awards. So they're full and partial tuition waivers available at Indiana, Mara School of Law, Notre Dame. So they actually have 2 awards in Notre Dame. One is specifically for human rights, and the other one is for more general, that you can kind of pick your own where you want to go, and Penn Law School as well. So these LLM courses have guaranteed waivers, and you can seek similar waivers from other institutions before applying to the Fulbright. During my 5 years at the Commission, it has happened a few times that candidates have applied for a Fulbright to do a master's and whatever, and then when the host institution hears that the Irish candidate has received a Fulbright award, they've been offered a full tuition waiver. So happy things like this do happen. Fulbright really and truly opens doors. Next slide, please, Rowan. And even when people have been unsuccessful in applying for the Fulbright award, Sometimes host institutions offer their own scholarships because they're so impressed that the candidate has actually applied or been shortlisted for a Fulbright award. So Fulbright really creates opportunities. And then other associate awards: Florida Poly STEM Graduate Assistantship for master's degree and graduate assistantships in STEM programs. They include direct payment for services as teaching and or research assistant and tuition support. Then the University of Southern California MSc or PhD programs, MSc in an engineering or computer science discipline, partial tuition waivers for MSc programs, and engineering or computer science PhD programs in a broad range of disciplines, full financial support. Next slide, please. Fulbright will fund you for the first year of a 2-year course or the first year of a 4-year course. So say, for example, if you want to undertake a 4-year PhD in the States, we will fund you for the first year. Or if you're doing a 2-year master's, we'll fund you for the first year. However, a lot of people choose to go over and do part of their PhD. So say they're doing their PhD with GMIT, they'll go over between 3 and 12 months to do part of their PhD in the United States. Generally, people go in their 2nd or 3rd year of their PhD, not the first or the final year. So there's a difference between the review and the interview stages with the Fulbright Award. So when you apply, like I said, after you apply, my colleague Sonia and I find expert reviewers in your field. So the review stage more so focuses on your academic record and your project statements, because these are experts in your field who do not know you, which if you have a very specific type of research, we struggle to find expert reviewers who don't know you. So we're looking abroad to find people, but they're focusing on your academic record and your project statement. So it really is about the nuts and bolts of your project and less on the cultural engagement and leadership. But then it flips at the interview stage, and obviously not everyone who applies gets interviewed. The focus on the interview is on the cultural engagement and leadership side of things, and less about your academic record and project statement. Odds are you will not be interviewed by someone who's an expert in your field at the interview stages. It'll be Fulbright alumni for the most part in the US and Ireland who'll be interviewing you at that stage. And next slide, please. So bear that in mind. The people who are interviewing you may know very little about your academic side of things, about your research area. So then the Schumann Awards, like I previously mentioned, are managed by the Belgian Commission. You apply through fulbrightschumann.eu, and there's a separate application which opens in December 2021, whereas our Irish Student Scholar Tech Impact FLTA Awards all open towards the end of August. So these awards are based in EU-US relations. They're co-funded by the EU, and they can be in policy or EU affairs or relations. They're awards for postdoctoral research and lecturing for the scholars, or pre-doctoral research for students. International educators will be matched with US institutions. Innovation awards supporting research at the intersection of technology and policy, and they're open to applications from EU member states. Please let us know if you're applying for this award, and you can only apply for one Fulbright in any given year. So say, for example, you can only apply for a student award or a scholar award or an FLTA award or Tech Impact Award or a Schumann Award. You cannot apply for 2 in any 1 year. However, you can apply for Schumann this year and an FLTA award next year if you so wish. Next slide, please, Rowan. So then obviously not only do we deal with the Irish going to the United States, we also have American students in country at the moment that we're trying to keep engaged throughout lockdown online. So there's the US Student Awards, similar for postdoc research or degree programs. We have US Scholar Awards for obviously people with PhDs or professional experience from the United States to come and lecture research in Ireland. We have the US Specialist Awards for academic and professional short-term awards. US Global Scholar Awards, again, academic, professional in 1 or more countries. So we frequently have people coming here and then going to Romania or going to Portugal first and then coming to Ireland. And then again, we have the Schumann Awards for the US. So Americans can apply through Schumann to go undertake a Fulbright Award in Europe. Next slide, please. So the US Awards in Ireland. So for US specialists, we have 5 of these US specialists coming through Ireland every year from the United States. Your institution applies to the commission to host one of these scholars. They address critical priorities. They're short-term awards just for 2 to 6 weeks. It opens between June to September 2021 for the 2022 year visit. And the roster of the US specialists are available. So specialists can be invited to come to your institution, and it's a very cost-effective way for hosting, for having an expert from the United States come to your institution. So the awards for the US Scholar Professional to lecture or develop institutional competencies in Ireland. So say, for example, a Fulbright Scholar is undertaking an award in Finland or France or whatever, you can apply for that expert to come here to Ireland for between 2 and 6 weeks. So it's a very cost-effective way of getting an expert into your institution. Next slide, please. Then the US Student Awards, and they are opening in the coming weeks. So the Fulbright Commission, all disciplines, PhD in RCSI, Masters in DCU, Masters in UCD, and there's a student who can go to the Hugh Lane Art Gallery as well. So these are just a list of some of the awards on offer for the students. The awards actually just closed. For the awards are going to open actually on March 31st for the 22-23 academic year, and the US Scholar Awards are now open as well. Next slide, please. So yes, between October and December annually, each year reach out to the HEI contacts to renew or set up new US awards. Please contact us to discuss further. So see that we have those sponsored awards in RCSI, DCU, UCD. We'd love to in the future have one with GMIT as well. Next slide, please. So the next steps, so reach out to your recommenders, who obviously make them aware that they're going to be requesting that they fill in a recommendation for you. Select your host or hosts. You are able to undertake a Fulbright Award in more than one institution. So you can go, say, to University of Alaska and then the University of Hawaii, if you so wish. Research about the Fulbright ethos. I cannot put enough emphasis on this. Talk to Fulbrighters like Catherine West here. Follow us on social media. Send us an email if you have any queries at awards@fulbright.ie, and our website has lots of information. And so if anyone has any questions, please,
Paula,
myself, Catherine.
There's just one question popped up just there. So if someone is granted an award, and let's say, I think they've given the example of in March of this year, is there a time frame when they have to go on their Fulbright? I know the answer, but do you want to?
Rowan knows all the answers. He's still relatively new. So yes, if you apply this summer, so if you start your application on the 31st of August this year and you complete it by Halloween, the earliest you can begin your Fulbright Award is is June 2022, because we need time to process your visa and whatnot. And people who will be getting the phone call hopefully next week or by March 31st will be able to commence their awards kind of this July. And I don't see any questions about COVID, but we kind of hope by the time all of you are going out that COVID will no longer, it will just be a bad memory by the time you're all going. But I just like to say as well, when we had American students in Ireland and Irish awardees in the United States when COVID kind of initially happened in March 2020, we gave them the option. So the Americans who were in Ireland and the Irish in America were actually given the option if they wanted to stay in their host country or return to their home country. So we had a mix of people who stayed and came and whatnot. So we're doing our best throughout COVID anyway. So hopefully we'll all be vaccinated by the time anyone on this call applies and goes.
Yeah, so Paula, so for the next maybe couple of weeks, if people want to maybe not start their application yet, but maybe just to get the ball rolling with an application to Fulbright, what should they put? What would be a good kind of milestone in maybe 2 weeks' time to have done? Maybe to think about where they're going, or?
Yeah, definitely. I think it's fantastic people are on this call to get a deeper understanding of Fulbright. Definitely reach out to us in the office, but more so people like Catherine West who have the experience and who is a campus ambassador who's more than willing to talk to you, because that expert experience, people who've been there, and definitely research, like you said, Rowan, where you want to go in the United States, what makes sense to you. If you're in marine sciences, where's the best place for you to go in the States? Is it San Fran? I don't know, but definitely figure that out.
I think
I know the percentages question, there's a question there about what percentage of people are successful in being awarded a Fulbright. We don't normally give out that information because it varies greatly between year on year and between funding as well. And similarly, if you're applying for a sponsored award, it will really skew the figures. The figures vary greatly between what award you're applying for. So definitely have a think about sponsored awards if any of those are appropriate to your research, because you'll only be considered for a sponsored award if you fill out that sponsored award form.
Good advice. Yeah, I think that's all the questions. Thank you to everyone for attending. We will be sending out the presentation, and I'm going to send out a link as well to the to this video this evening, so you can watch it again at your leisure. Yeah. Is there any final bits or pieces? I think we'll end it there.
Oh, is there one more? Sorry.
Oh.
For lectures, do we have to
yeah.
have a relationship set up with the US host institutions? You don't have to. You can email them out of the blue. Literally pop them an email. I am such and such from GMIT in Ireland. I want to undertake a Fulbright award in your institution. Definitely, a lot of people just pick up the phone and call someone in the United States. A lot of people do that, and it would be great for GMIT if you, as a lecturer, sorry, it's Tony, goes to the United States and create that kind of connection, because we love to see those connections evolve and grow and deepen between institutions. And the next part of the question is, am I correct in saying there are 2 possible awards for lecturing, the Schumann Award? Yes, there are, but we don't actually manage those awards. So please research more about Schumann. Go onto the Belgian Commission's website and have a look at the Schumann Awards. That they won't be opening now until December, but definitely, if you're interested in that, in the EU-US relationships, definitely go on that website and be doing your research now before those awards open in December.
And as Paula said, and Catherine as well, feel free to reach out to us. Our emails are, well, you probably have our emails already, and they're on the website. We're approachable, and we're here to help as well. So, yep, thank you for all the questions, and thanks for coming along.
Thank you,
Thanks,
everyone.
Yeah, thank you.